Alright, so next topic is XSLT, and as I said, this is probably the most complex topic for all among all the topics we cover today. Okay, so these are the set of topics we are going to cover. So we are going to go into some terminologies, and then we are going to see why transformation is important. Excuse me. And then we are going to see how XSLT is performed, operational model of it. And then we are going to review XPath. Well, we are going to skip the XPath review because we just finished. Okay, we are going to most of the presentation and the lab exercises learning XSLT Stylesheet Language. Okay, and lastly, we are going to compare XSLT with other technologies. Okay. Alright, so as I said before, the most of the presentation, the focus of this presentation is learning XSLT stylesheet language, and there are actually three important stylesheet language. So the first one is template, and the next one is a value of, and third one is apply template. So these are the three XSLT stylesheet language that we are going to mostly focus on. Okay. Alright, so let's move on to the terminology. So XSL stands for Extensible Stylesheet Language. Okay, so it's a language, XML language for expressing style sheets. Okay, it's made of two parts: XSL and transformation, which is called XSLT, and XSL formatting object. So we are mostly focused on XSLT. Okay, so what does transformation mean? So when we say transform, we are transforming XML document into another XML document. That another XML document could be XHTML or WML, or transforming into HTML document, or we could even transform XML document into text. Okay. So XSLT is a W3C standard for XML transformation. So why we need to do transformation? So there are two different aspects of XML. So one is a presentation-oriented publishing. So this is how XML is actually being used. Okay. One is presentation-oriented publishing, and the other one is a message-oriented middleware. So in the first POP case, presentation-oriented publishing, is useful for browsers and editors, and it's usually used for data that will be consumed by humans. Okay, typically when we say in this case, we are talking about HTML being viewed by the browser, right? Now, XML is also used for conveying the data in message-oriented middleware, so useful for machine-to-machine data exchange, and business-to-business communication is an excellent example where XML is used as a data format. Okay. Alright, so XSLT transformation is useful in both cases. So in the case of POP, you might want to transform data into a viewable format in a browser. In the MOM case, you might want to transform business data between content models. So let's talk about each of these use cases in a bit more detail. So in a POP case, XML document typically represent only content, the data, separated from presentation like HTML, right? So transformation can be used to style the XML content into presentation. Okay, so you might in fact actually transform XML data into HTML format or WML format, depending on what is client type is. WML is probably not used anymore because mobile device is now powerful enough to actually display HTML. But in many years ago, when mobile device is not powerful enough, mobile device cannot really handle the HTML document. So at that time, WML was actually one of the XML format specifically designed for mobile devices. But it's probably irrelevant these days because mobile devices are so powerful these days. It functions like a desktop as far as understanding HTML document is concerned. Okay, so this is a case where XSLT is done in POP case. So we have XML document that just contains the data. Then we have a style sheet, and then we are going to process this XML document according to this style sheet instruction, and then we generate HTML document. Okay. For XSL formatting object, we could actually generate PDF document or Excel document and things like that. So this is the XSLT in MOM. So important in e-commerce and B2B and EDI and dynamic content generation. So basically what you want to do is that you want to generate a different content model from the same data. So the same data, same customer data might be consumed in different way depending on the department. Legal department might want to actually extract only the relevant information regarding a legal aspect of it, and payroll department or the shipping department might want to actually extract only the data that is needed for shipping. Okay, different structure relationship. So same customer data might be might be converted to different format. Okay. For example, like a name. So original data might have a first name and middle initial and last name, but the shipping the department might want to actually have a structure of the full name rather than those three different elements. So you might want to change structure of XML document instance into a format that it needs. Different vocabularies. They might in fact change different the vocabulary for the element. For example, instead of using last name, you might want to use a surname or something like that. So this is the MOM case. So here we have received the order document, okay, and depending on the view, so fulfillment organization and accounting organization wants to see this order document differently. So in that case, we could actually use accounting style sheet to transform this order document to the accounting view, and fulfillment style sheet will actually transform this order document to meet the need of the fulfillment organization. Okay. This is MOM example, XSLT in MOM example number 2. Okay. So your organization might actually receive order document from many different companies, subsidiaries or partners, right? And let's say they are partners, and each partner might actually use a different format. Okay, so when you received order document from a different partners, what you want to do is that you want to convert those the order documents into the format that you want in your organization. Okay, so that's another reason, another example where XSLT could be used. Okay, so let's move on to XSLT operational model. So how does XSLT is being performed? So it's pretty straightforward. There are two pieces that are fed into XSLT processor. First, original input documents. So this is XML document. Okay, and then another piece that needs to be fed to XSLT processor is the XSLT style sheet. Okay, so this XSLT style sheet is providing instruction for the XSLT processor regarding how to transform this input document to this output document. Okay, so input document is always XML, and output document could be XML, HTML, XHTML, WML, text, and things like that. Okay, so key point is XSLT processor receive original document along with XSLT style sheet. Okay, again, it provides instruction on how to transform, and this is what we are going to learn. We are basically learning the language of XSLT style sheet. So what is XSLT processor? So we are talking about this guy. Okay, so XSLT processor is basically a software that reads XSLT style sheet and input XML document, and it converts this input document to an output document according to the instruction given in XSLT style sheet. Okay, sometimes XSLT processor is called the style sheet processor because it's processing style sheet. Okay. Alright, so examples of XSLT processor. So most modern browsers have a built-in XSLT processor. Okay, so when you receive input document along with XSLT transformation style sheet, then it will transform it for you. Okay, the built-in web or application server. So there are pieces. The web and app server might actually have it for performing XSLT. In terms of Java package, we are talking about JAX-P package. Okay, so JAX-P package is standard reference implementation that contains XSLT built in. Okay. What is XSLT style sheet? Again, it contains instruction of transformation, meaning how I want to transform that input document. Okay. Style sheet is genuine XML document. Okay, so it follows the rules of XML document. The root element typically is style sheet or transform. Okay, so either one is fine, and both are allowed. Both are defined in standard XSLT namespace. Okay, and XSLT processor should understand both. Alright, so review on XPath. So this is something that we covered as a previous representation. Okay, so XPath is used by XSLT and by other XML technologies such as XPointer for referencing elements and attributes of an XML document. Okay, so this referencing is done through the expression language, the location path. And it supports tree structure expression, like I want to get the 7th child element of the 3rd person element and things like that. So in your style sheet, what you want to specify is that I want to select this set of elements and I want to actually transform into something else, right? So you need to have a way of referencing parts of your XML document. So that's the reason XPath is used as part of XSLT. So we have learned the concept of node set, right? Okay, so I'm gonna just move forward. All right, now we are moving forward with each example. Okay. All right, so let's actually do example 0. Okay, so again, this is the same XML document. Example document that we are going to use as input document. So what we want to do is we want to transform this input document into something else. Okay, so this is the same XML document we have seen in previous presentation. Okay, so minimal but empty but complete XSLT style sheet. So this is XSLT style sheet. So I'm gonna name it as example 0 XML. Okay. And it doesn't have any instruction in terms of transformation. Okay, but it's valid style sheet. It has the style sheet element. Okay, but it doesn't have any instruction. Okay, so if you are using this example 0 XSL style sheet with this input document, what happens is this. Okay, it basically display all the text of the element. Okay, so let's actually try this one first. Okay, and then I'm going to explain it. So you can take a look at the hands-on lab documentation. So go to hands-on lab documentation of XSLT. So here we are going to use NetBeans. So NetBeans provides the built-in XSLT feature. So here I'm gonna open the NetBeans. Okay, and you can open a file. So in this case, people.xml file. Okay, so again, people.xml file is provided under this hands-on lab. Okay, so if you unzip the file, you should see ws_xml_xslt. Underneath there is a samples directory, so there is a people.xml file. So you can open file and goes to, in my case, I'm gonna go to this hands-on lab, and and hands-on AWS, and this is the XML XSLT, and on the samples these people.xml file. Okay, so open this XML file. Okay, so again, this is very familiar XML file that we have used in our previous presentation. Okay, and then you can perform XSL transformation, meaning XSLT. So basically you are going to select, right click on this one. Okay, so this is XSL transformation. So click this one, and it's going to ask you, so this is the input source, and it's going to ask you what is the XSLT style sheet. Okay, so here I'm going to select that example 0. So go to browse, and again go to the hands-on lab, and XSLT again is in samples. So the one that I want to use is example 0. So you can see it's example 0.xsl. Okay, all right, and then output file is people underscore output.xml file as a default. Okay, then if you say OK, all right, now this is the output that gets displayed. It's a people output.xml file. So this is what gets displayed. Okay, and that is what is shown right here. Okay, now this is the explanation of the result. So applying empty style sheet on any XML document, what happens is this: elements in XML document, meaning input XML documents, are traversed sequentially. So it will traverse from this element, okay, here, and people, person, name, and blah blah blah. Okay, now what happens is that the content of each element is put in output. Okay, and so content of each element, so meaning string content. So basically it will go to person, and it will try to find the string content. So it will go to the next one, and then it will go to the next one. The first string contains Ellen and Turing and computer scientist and things like that, right? Okay. Attributes are not traversed, so attribute doesn't get displayed. Okay, so this is the default behavior. So default behavior of getting content of an element is outputting the text of traversed sub-elements. So basically it's trying to get the text value of person. It will try to get the text value of the text value of the person is basically the Ellen, Turing, and things like that. Okay, so that is the default behavior. Okay, so what it means is that if there is no specific transformation instruction, it will use the default instruction, which is getting the text value of that node. Okay, so that's why you get this. Okay, so without any specific templates to apply to an element, XSLT processor falls back to default behavior, because in our case the example 0.xsl file, there is no instruction in terms of transformation, so it will use a default transformational behavior. Okay, which is basically displaying text of the elements. Okay. Okay. So XSL style sheet instruction. So the can be included as part of the XML document. So in our case, we actually use the NetBeans tool to apply style sheet to input XML document of people here. But the browser might actually, the XML document instance could have this instruction. So this people might have this instruction, these 3 lines of instruction. Basically it will point what style sheet it wants to use. So this is where the browser read this XSL file and then apply the transformation for you. So again, most browsers handles the XSLT transformation by reading this XML input document and also applying this transformation. Okay, now let's actually stop right here, and let's have 15 minutes break, and I'm gonna actually let you guys do exercise 0, which is the example 0. Okay, so we will be back. I'm actually giving you 5 minutes, and let's have 10 minutes break. So we'll be back in 15 minutes, and I want you to do exercise example 0. Okay, just what I have done. All right. Next topic is template. So what does template do? So the rest of the presentation we are going to learn how we can create instruction for style sheet transformation, style sheet based transformation. So first thing we are going to learn is template. So template controls which output is created from which input. Okay, so here this is the how you're going to use template. So this is the prefix, and this is the template element. Then you specify match attribute, and this match attribute will have XPath expression. Okay, so this is the XPath expression. So this XPath expression identifies input node set it matches. Okay, and then for each node in the node set, so node set will be returned from this XPath expression. The template contents, meaning things between XML template, opening tag, and ending tags, are instantiated and inserted into the output. Okay, so let's see an example of this. So that is the next example, XSLT example 1. So in this case, we are adding these 2 lines of code into style sheet. So here what we are saying is we are going to find all people, so there is only one people element, right? And then we are going to replace that element with the things in between, and there is nothing here, right? So if you run this guy, let's try to run this guy. So this is the original source input document, and then what you get back is this, nothing. The reason is because this is explanation. So here match people in XSLT style sheet generates a resulting node set, and there is only one people node in the resulting node set, right? And for each node in the node set, the template contents, meaning things in between opening tag and ending tag of these template tags, are instantiated into instantiated and inserted into the output. Okay, but we don't have any contents in between these two, opening tag and ending tag. So basically nothing will replace this people element. Okay, so that's the reason what you get back is this. Alright, so that is the explanation. The people node will be replaced with null because there is nothing in between opening template and ending template tag. Okay, so that is exercise 1, and so we're going to actually try exercise 1. So we're going to actually do again we are going to try, and then here we are going to open example 1. Okay, and the same people output XML file, and then okay, and then oops, let's try what is going on here. Oh, not opening browser. Make sure you select the people output XML file. Okay, and then okay, right? So this is what you get back as expected. All right. And I'm going to continue a few more slides, and then I'm going to give you guys to try things. So now let's try XSLT example number 2. So in this case, we are going to have something in between. So in this case, folks in Brandeis XML class. So I thought I used to teach XML class in Brandeis University many years ago. So this is the text that I have. So here basically I'm replacing people element with folks in Brandeis XML class. And when you apply the style sheet, then you are going to see this result as expected. Okay, and so let's actually try example number 2. So again, go to people.xml file, perform the transformation, and then example 2, and okay. Actually I should make sure, so again, make sure you are selecting people.xml file, okay, and click OK. So this is what you get back. Folks in Brandeis XML class. Okay, so that is replacing the people element. Okay, so feel free to change the this contents and see what happens. Okay, all right. Now exercise example number 3. So here, instead of person, now I want to find person. So there are 2 person elements, right? Okay. So if you remember XPath notations, if you say the person, then it's going to slash person. It will find a 2 person element, and for those 2 person element, we are going to replace it with a person. Okay. So result is going to be, again, there are 2 person element like this, right? And we are going to replace this 2 person element with, in this case, a person. So when we run this example 3, this is what we get back. So you can see the output space, white space outside person elements are preserved, and person element is replaced by contents of template, which is a person. Okay. So that is this is explanation. So XSL translate in the XSLT Stylesheet generates a result, the node set. There are 2 person nodes in the result node set, and each element in the resulting node set is processed in sequence. Okay, since there is no template for people element, so default behavior is used. And there is a template for person element, so template is applied instead of the default behavior, and it will be replaced by template content, in this case a person. Okay, all right, so let's actually try that. So that's example 3. Okay, so go to people.xml file and transformation, and make sure you select the so I'm gonna select 3, and make sure this is you have to actually explicitly specify people output.xml file and click OK. Now you can see it replaced person element with a person. Okay, alright, so I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes to try up to example 3. Okay, next is example 4. So in this case, so this is exactly the same style sheet as example, this same thing, but we are going to use the different input XML document. So instead of people.xml file, we are going to use people1.xml file. Okay, but using the same the style sheet. Okay, so this is the same as example 3. So the one that we want to use is people1.xml file. Now here the difference is that we have added this red colored text. One is some text here on the people element. Okay, so this text belongs to this people element. Then we have a Clinton element. Underneath it has a text. Monica is on the Clinton element. Okay, all right. So let's actually open people1.document, people1.xml file. So people1.xml file. So as you can see, the difference is this. These are added. Okay. Now we are going to use the same style sheet of this. Okay. So it's example 4.xsl, but it's the same thing as example 3.xsl. Okay. All right. So it's the same XSL, but I just named it as different so that we are doing exercise 4. Okay. Alright, so let's try to run this guy with XSLT transformation. Again, you are going to read example 4.xml file, which is Webservices, XML style sheet, and samples, and example 4. Okay. And we want to display in people1.output.xml file and run it. Now let's see what happens. So it displays a person as expected, but it also displays this 2 strings. Okay, some text here on the people element, and Monica is on the Clinton element. Okay, so this is the explanation. So this is what you get. Okay. So this is from a template content. So we have a template content of so basically we have template content matching person, right? So these two make sense. Okay, but this one is actually on the people element, and because a people element doesn't have any template to be applied, it will use a default behavior, meaning it will just display the text. Same thing here. Monica is on the Clinton element, so it will just get the default behavior on Clinton element. Okay, so this is the explanation. Each element in the input document is processed in sequence. So there is no template for people element, so it is processed in default mode, and the default mode processing is just getting the text of the older nodes underneath, right? However, there is a template for person element, so template is applied. So there is no template for Clinton element, so it is processed in default mode. So in the case of people element and Clinton element, default mode is used, which is displaying the text. Okay, so that's what happens. So that's example 5. Now example 4. Now example 5, we are going back to people.xml file. So in this case, we are going to, instead of a person, we are going to display this p tag. So this is an example of, so far what we have produced was, basically strings. I mean, the text. Okay, but in general, I want to generate XML document or HTML document. So in this case, instead of displaying 8-person text, I want to generate p element. Okay, so when we run this style sheet against people.xml file, okay, and this is what gets displayed. So template content contains text p in this example and character data a person in this example. Okay, all right. So let's actually try to run not people.xml file. We have people.xml. So this is the one we want to use, and let's try to use example 5. Okay, and here we want to make sure people.xml file, and when we click this one, you can see now it's actually generating p element instead of just text. Okay, all right. So that is basically what the template element is all about. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, which is XSL value of. So what does XSL value of element do? So it controls what gets generated as an output instead of generating text content as output, as we have seen in previous examples. So far our examples was basically it's just displaying the text content of that element, right? But that's typically not the one that we want to display. What we want to get an output is basically we want to control it. So instead of just displaying the person's text values, I want to actually display for each person element, I want to display his or her first name in uppercase, for example. So this is a time, so this value of is actually used to do like that. Okay, so here you can also actually have a select attribute, and this is again XPath expression. So what it means is that extract the string value of an element or an attribute and writes it to the output. Okay, so string value is the text content of the element after all the text have been removed. So we know we already know this, right? So what select attribute does is that it contains XPath expression, and basically the string value of that XPath expression will be used to produce an output. Okay, so if you're using select here, it could be a node set, in which case the string value of it is going to be string value of the first node. Okay, so that's something that we play around before, right? So let's see an example. So this is example 6. So in this case, example 6. Now instead of just displaying P and a person, we want to control what gets displayed. So what we want to do is we want to display the string value of the XPath expression. Okay, so XPath expression of the name is so in this case, when you use the XPath expression name, it will create a node set, right? So there are going to be two name nodes, right? And string value of it is going to be the string value of the first node in the node set. Okay, so in this case, what gets displayed is going to be, so this is again the original input document, Alan Turing and Richard M. Feynman. Okay, so this is again, you know, you have a two name element. Okay, so when you do select here, it will generate this two name node, right? However, the string value of it is going to be the string value of the first in that node set, which is going to be Alan and Turing. Okay, so the output is going to be, oops, I was wrong. Oh, okay. So I think I was, yeah. So I was actually giving the wrong information. It's basically display all the names. So for all person element, node set display string value of all the name elements in the node set. Okay. So it's not the first. You know, it's it's not the first one. Okay. Yeah. So you know, I think I actually misrepresented in a way that the node set. What it means is that it will actually display the string value of each node in that node set. That's what I meant. Okay, so what gets displayed is this. Okay, so explanation. So create a node set via match person. So two person elements in node set A. Okay, so that is basically this template. So we find two person element. And then in terms of displaying it, you know, we want to use a value of element, okay? And then we want to display for each of those in the node set. We want to display the name, element, okay? And so basically, what gets displayed is a name element of this, okay? So this is the so two person element in node set A, and for each person element in the node set A, create a node set B via the select name. So that is actually value of node set, and one name element in each node set B, and then we are going to display string value of each node in the node set B. Okay, so this is the first one, Alan Turing, and then we have another one. Okay, all right. Okay, so that is example 6. So let's again go to people.xml, and let's perform the transformation. And so this is going to be example 6. And again, make sure you select output XML file, and this is what gets generated. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you guys 5 minutes to try up to this point. Okay. So basically, example 5 and 6. Okay. Next is we are going to use the same style sheet, example 6 style sheet with new XML document. So in this case, again, this is the same style sheet we are going to use. However, the XML document, input XML document we are going to use is people2.xml file. In this case, we have this person has two names, this guy and this guy. So this one first name is Alan Turing, and this one is Alan2 and Turing2, and this person has still a single name element. Okay, so in this case, what happens is the result is going to be the same. Okay, so let's try this. We are going to open file, open the file, and this time we are going to open people2.xml file. So as you can see, this people2.xml file has this person has two names, Alan and Alan2. Okay, so I should actually say, you know, the Alan2 and Turing. Oops, making Turing2 just to make it different. Okay, and now I'm going to transform with using the example, using the same style sheet, example 6. So here I'm going to select example 6, Here, this is a bit of chore. And XSLT samples and example 6, same thing. And here the output is people2.output.xml file. And now you can see the result is exactly the same. Okay? The reason is this. The first person element has two name elements in the node set. So this one and this one. Okay? Now displaying the string value of a node, in the node set, okay, takes the first node and in the set and display the text value of it. So instead of displaying both of this, it will just display ln Turing. Okay, so that's what happens. Alright, so far what we have learned is we have used a template. It creates a node set using match element, and then for each node in the node set, it replaces it with what is specified, the contents between opening and ending tag of the template. Okay, so that is what template element is all about. And then value of is used to create a node set using select, and then basically string value of the node set, meaning actually string value of each node in the node set. Okay, so that's actually probably the right way of saying it. String value of each node in the node set. Okay, slide 67. Let me just make sure that I correct that. Okay, so this template is used to select what to transform, and value of is what gets displayed. Okay, so that is two things we have learned so far. Okay, now the third element that we are going to learn is apply templates. Okay, so apply templates controls which child nodes of a context node a template is applied to. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by using example. So in this case, we have example 7. So I like to display the values like this. Turing, so this is last name and first name, and last name and first name. Okay, and we want to display only the name, and we do not want to display profession nor hobby. Okay, so that's basically the output I want. Now, in this case, so this is example 7.xml file. Okay, so maybe this is actually our first intuitive solution. So basically we find the name element, okay, and for each name element we want to apply the last name and first name. Okay, and this is not correct. In fact, something is missing, but let's try example 7 and see what happens. So if you try example 7 style sheet, what gets displayed is, and this is the source document, ln Turing and Richard M and things like that. What gets displayed is not only Turing and ln and Feynman Richard, which are the format that we want, last name, first name, last name, first name. But these computer scientist professions and the hobbies, they are also being printed out. Okay, as I said before, this is not something we want. Okay, the reason this gets displayed is because something is missing here. Okay, the reason these are being displayed is explained here. Okay, so each element in the input document is processed in sequence, and any template applicable to each element is then applied. So there is no template for people or person elements, so they are processed in default mode, meaning the text node are going to be displayed. So that's the reason all this text are being displayed. Okay, there is a template for name elements, so template is applied. So that is applied correctly. That's the reason we got this one, last name and first name, last name, first name. Okay, so that this one worked okay, but this one, we did not have a template for people and persons, so default mode is used, and that is not what we want. Okay, again, so there is no template for other elements, profession and hobby, so they are processed in default mode. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to other elements to be, we do not want this profession and hobby. We do not want these elements to be processed, even if they are in default mode. So this is where applied templates can be useful. Okay, so let's actually try this one first. This is the example 7. So let's go to people here first, and then we are going to use example 7. And make sure you select the people up with the XML file, and OK. And as you can see, this last name, first name, and last name, first name, that's all we want. That's the only thing we want, but it also displays these things, which we do not want. Okay. So that's where apply template is introduced to correct the problem. So apply templates. Okay, so this is that's example 8. So here we are going to introduce apply templates. Okay, so what it means is this. So the apply templates only to name children of the person. So what it means is that so we have a template match, one for name and one for person. So for person, we do not want the template to be applied except name. And because template is available for name, only this template is going to be applied. Okay, and everything else is not going to be applied, even though they are default mode. Only the name will be only the name elements template will be applied. So that is apply template is all about. Okay, so that's example 8. Okay, so when you do that, this is what you get back. So the explanation is that each element in the input document is processed in sequence. Any template applicable to each element is then applied. So there is no template for person element. There is a template for person element, right? So that is this guy, okay? And then what the person element, the template of the person element says, search for a template for only the name child element and apply it, okay? And everything else, it do not want to perform transformation. So there is a template for name child element, so that is applied, okay? So that's the that's how the behavior we want is actually received. Okay, so let's try people.xml file. This time is example 8. Example 8, and we want to make sure people.xml file and OK. And as expected, that's the only thing that will be displayed, which is good. Now, so this is is explanation which we have done. Okay. Now let's move on to next example. So again, this is so now in this example, if you compare this style sheet with example 8.xsl, we basically switch this guy and this guy. Okay. So we basically if you see example 8, this one has been after this. Okay, here we just reverse the order. Okay, and let's see what happens. Is example 8 at XSL. So let's go to people.xml file and transformation and example A. And again, make sure you get the you select the people.xml file, and result is the same. Okay, which means the order doesn't matter. Okay, this is the same result. So ordering of XML template within stylesheet does not matter. The reason is because the order of the element, the order of the input elements in the input document matters, because what happens is that elements in the input document, they are processed from root to child node, meaning they are traversed from top to bottom. So whenever it actually finds an element, it's trying to find a template that can be applied. So as long as they find a template to apply, okay, it doesn't matter where these things are specified in the style sheet. It will find first, person element template to be applied, okay, and it doesn't, so basically, as long as it's present, it will be found, okay, by the XSLT processor, okay. So the order of the style sheet element in the style sheet does not matter. However, the actual order that matters is, in fact, the elements in the document instance. Okay. Okay, moving forward. XSLT example 8b. So in this case, we have so what we have here is that we have template for name, we have a template for profession, and then we say apply template name. So if you think about it, so the person, it wants to apply only the name template, right? Okay. So even if there is a template for profession, this is not going to be applied. So let's actually see what happens. So the result is this. Even though there is a profession template, it's not going to be applied because what you said here was, I want to apply only the name template, for person. Okay, so this will be ignored. Okay, so that is example 8b. So let's try that. So just the explanation of the result. The template of profession does not get applied because template of person says only the template of name should be applied. Okay, so that's 8b. Let's transform it, and 8b, and okay, and same result. Okay, now in AC, now what happens is that I'm gonna say here is that when you say apply templates and slash, that means I want to apply all child elements. I want to template all the child elements. So in this case, it will apply only the template of name. But when you say apply templates slash, that means all. It's like a wildcard. Okay. So I want to apply all templates of all the child of person elements. So in this case, we have a name and profession. So in this case, the output is going to be this one is for name. This is from a name template. This one is from my profession, and my profession, that is from this template. So for any profession, the element I want to replace with my profession. And here it will also perform transformation for hobby as well, and that is the default. It's going to use the default behavior because there is no template for hobby. Okay, so this is 8c. So if you go to people.xml file and let's transform, and this is 8c, and let's select the and this is what you have seen in the slide. Okay, so this is from a profession template, okay, and this is from a default behavior of hobby. Okay. Alright, so that is basically the explanation. The template of both name and profession get applied because the templates of all child nodes of persons are applied. So that's basically this guy. Okay. Since there is no template for hobby, default behavior is taken, which is just the text node of all children of it. Okay, example 9. So in this case, what we have here is that we have people template, and the contents we want to display for people is HTML, and then we have head, title, famous scientist, and then we are going to apply templates here, meaning we want to apply all templates on the people element. So name and hobby and all that stuff. Okay, and here you have seen here we have a two template. One is person and name. So this person and name, they are all child node of the person. So these templates will be applied. So in this case, the for person element, it will apply the template of the name. So this will be applied. Okay, so in this case, what it does is that it wants to display the value of all last name and value of first name. Okay, so when you display this one, when you actually run this style sheet, what you get back is, this is from that fragment from here. Okay, and then we basically display the last name, last name, and first name. Okay, right? So this is explanation. Replace every people element with an HTML element. The template of person says to apply the template of the name for all person node, and the template of name says to display last name and first name. Okay, so that is example 9. So let's try apply that style sheet, and it's example 9. And okay, and this is what gets displayed, okay, as expected. Alright, so moving forward, attributes. Attributes, attributes do not actually get displayed in the default behavior. So you specifically actually say, so here in this case, we want to display, so in this case, template match for person, we want to apply the name templates, and then we want to display born and died, and then here apply templates for select born and select died. Okay, so the attributes default rule do not apply to the attributes. So you have to use apply templates has to be present in order to output values of attributes. Okay. So in this case, what gets displayed is these values. Okay. So this is example 10. So go to people.xml file and style sheet, and we are going to use style sheet of example 10, and here people.xml file, and then basically this is what gets displayed. Okay. Okay, so XSLT and other transformation technologies. So if you compare XSLT and DOM, most XSLT engine inside is using DOM. Okay, so that's the reason for slow performance and high memory requirement, because it's using DOM internally. So we're going to actually learn the concept of DOM tomorrow. Okay, DOM could be used for transformation as well. Okay, so DOM provides an API that you can use to transform, but DOM does not provide any ready-to-use XPath functionality, however. So you have to actually perform the search yourself. On the other hand, XSLT is completely declarative. You basically come up with a style sheet, which is XML, and XSLT is more portable than DOM. So DOM, you're talking about programmatic transformation. XSLT is more declarative, so it's a lot easier to use. So XSLT versus programming. Programming is useful when you do more than transformation. So there are certain examples that require some programmatic task. Okay. So interpreting certain elements in the database queries, inserting query result into output document, asking users questions in the middle of transformation, and things like that. In that case, you might in fact actually have to do programming. Okay, but when you do certain, just kind of one-shot transformation, then XSLT is a good choice. All right. So in summary, we have learned XSLT is useful in both presentation as well as MOM, message-oriented environment. And then we have spent most of our time learning XSLT style language, mostly template, value of, and apply templates. Okay. All right. So that is the end of the presentation. So let me just finish up